Today we are learning how to alter patterns. The first thing to do is to look at the pattern sizes listed and find the measurement closest to yours. So, in order to figure out your garment, you need to look on the pattern for the finished garment size. So, this pattern said the finished garment was 36 inches. Your measurement is 38. So, in order to figure out how much we need to increase the pattern piece, we need to take 38 minus 36 to get 2 inches that we need to add to the pattern. There are a few things you must keep in mind while altering patterns. Rule number 1, patterns must be flat. Rule number 2, matching edges must match. Rule number 3, divide circumference by 4, then add equally to the side seams. Number 4, alter one area at a time. 5, keep center, front, center, back, and grain line straight. 6, redraw seam lines, darts, or other details interrupted by the alterations. And finally, 7, reshape cut ends of adjusted darts. So, the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to alter our pattern. So, if we want to add 1 inch total waist circumference, we are going to take and divide that 1 inch by 4 to get the 1 1/4 inch. Now, the reason why we do that is because in the bodice we have 2 fronts and 2 backs of the bodice, meaning we have 4 parts to the waist. So let's start by cutting up the seam allowance. We're going to go straight here along the bottom, along that dashed line. The next thing we are going to do is we're going to hinge at the corner here, just like that. So you're cutting 2, but not quite through the seam allowance. So that leaves a nice little hinge there. Then we're going to cut up this seam line. We're going to cut through everything up to that corner. Then we're going to hinge this corner as well, but not through it. So like that. And then your little piece can come hanging out over here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hinge this seam line along right here to allow us to move this seam allowance. Ooh, try not to do that. So we can try to move the seam allowance right through where we want it, right to where we want it. I'm going to tape that back together. So I'm going to cut that again and try not to slice it. Alright, we're going to do a couple more. So you're going to go from the arm side all the way to the waist. Okay, so I'm going to say that's good. And then now we're going to move it out just 1/4 inch. So grab your ruler. You're going to pull it out just that 1/4 inch right there at the corner, because that's our measurement. So I'm going to grab a piece of tape and tape this right along the bottom at that 1/4 inch line. So there's that. Now we need a piece of filler tape. So we are going to grab our paper and put it right behind our pattern piece. And then we're going to tape it down to the new piece of paper to show just how pattern alterations are done. You're going to tape that edge down. All right, and then now we are going to cut this here just along this dart leg. And because we didn't change our dart any, we're just going to put it right back here, right where it was. Just like that. Now, there's still a few things left to do. we have to redraw our seam lines, redraw our seam allowance, and then we've got to make sure that our darts are still good. So what we're going to do, we're going to redraw this seam allowance right like that. It should tape that down some more. Okay, so just like that. And then we're going to come up here and redraw our dart lines, just to make sure that our darts still look good. And there you go. We just added a 1/4 inch to make our 1 inch seam allowance. And you do the same exact thing to the back in the same style. There you go. You're done. The last thing to do is to celebrate because you've just completed your pattern.